My name is Jana. I came to live in London in Great Britain 10 years ago as an academic. And my husband is a British citizen. And since then, we have built a family here, and I have two daughters that were born in the UK. I probably did consider because we traveled a lot, but I was more focused on possibly moving to France or United States, and I don't think I ever considered moving to England. Croatia was at that time already part of European Union, but there was still no agreement for a European citizen to work in the UK. So I had to obtain a so-called blue card, which would allow non-UK citizens to start working. And in order to do that, I needed to obtain a proof of address. So that meant obtaining either a letter from energy, like an energy bill or a phone bill or a water bill. So basically a piece of paper that stated my name and the address. And since I lived here with my current husband, back then we weren't married yet, I think if I remember correctly, that piece of paper was either a phone bill or a water or electricity bill. And with that information, I went to the so-called job center and I fill in the form. And I had to provide also the job offer, so the documentation from the university offering me the job. And then it took a couple of weeks, I think, to obtain this blue card. And then that was sufficient for me to start working. But I also have to stress that I never applied for a British citizenship. So I don't have a British passport. I only have, currently I have a permanent residency, and I have a permanent residency because when Brexit happened, I lived in the UK for 5 years. So anyone who was a EU citizen and lived in UK 5 years prior to Brexit was allowed to apply for the permanent residency, right? And this permanent residency allows me to vote in the local elections, but it doesn't allow me to vote in the state elections. And it also it's not the same right as having a UK passport. So traveling to a country that requires, so for example, when we travel to Croatia, I still use my Croatian passport. And now there is a new rule where non-EU citizens or EU citizens coming into UK will have to apply for a visa. So my husband and my children, or one of my children who still doesn't have a Croatian passport, will actually have to pay this charge, ETA, I think it's called, to be allowed to come into UK. To go to Croatia. And also, I, as a Croatian citizen now coming into UK, I have to provide this proof that have the permanent residency. And what was interesting, the last time we were coming here just a few months ago, after Easter break, they asked me for a piece of paper proving my permanent residency. And interestingly, this is something that is currently only available online. So majority of the British kind of administrative documentation is online. So what I have to do is log in into this system, a government system, and then on their portal input my information, and then that generates a code, and that code is valid for, let's say, a month maybe. And then every time I log in, it regenerates the code, and that code can then be sent to for example, can be either sent to your email, so you have that way of proving, or you can send it to your, also if you're looking for a job, right? So you can send it to your employer and so on. So this is interesting. It was interesting for me because of this discrepancy of this online system that is in a way efficient because you don't have to keep your documentation in your pocket, so to speak. But then again, when you're requested to prove your residency, potentially the people are yet not aware of the system or don't know the system or how it works. So that might raise a suspicion. Why don't you have this documentation as a piece of paper, right? So it's just an interesting stage, I'm guessing, of kind of transition and understanding how this new kind of effects, trickle-down effects of what Brexit actually means. In order to enter UK, when I was coming here 10 years ago, I can't remember if I needed visa. I don't think I needed visa at that point because Croatia joined the EU. Yes, Croatia joined the EU, right? But England or UK in that respect is it's not very administratively heavy, right? So to come and live here, you as a EU citizen, it was no problem. So I did not need any kind of documentation. The only reason I needed some documentation was because I was coming here on a research kind of sabbatical, so to speak. So in order for the university here to give me that status, maybe they needed confirmation from the Croatian university that I was employed there, or that I was at that time finished my PhD or something like that. But Croatian government did not need anything. The only thing that I did do is I canceled my health insurance in Croatia. Which was cancelled because I gave notice. So I stopped working in Croatia. And I think as a effect of that, I lost my right for national health insurance. So currently I have the European one. And then at one point I had to extend my passport, and I didn't travel to Croatia. I wasn't planning to travel to Croatia to change my passport there. So I changed my passport here in London at the embassy, Croatian embassy. And for them to do that, I needed to give up my residency, boravišna, in Croatia, because they had to kind of cancel my ID card in order to say in my passport that the passport was issued by the British embassy rather than the police, as in Croatia the police issues your passport, right? So rather than the police in Zagreb, and then my passport, Croatian passport, when it was issued in Zagreb, had my Zagreb address on it, so Croatian address on it. But now, as it was issued by the British embassy, now it has states. It doesn't have my Croatian address anymore, but it states that it was issued by the by the Croatian embassy in London. So at that point, I had to give up my residency in Croatia and my address in Croatia and my ID. And then, but now this summer, I went back to Croatia and I asked them to reissue my ID, and that wasn't a problem at all. The other story that might be of interest is that my daughters who were born here in the UK, obviously as they were born, and their father is British citizen, they automatically gained the citizenship here. So they have British passports. This was no problem. But then in order to get the Croatian passport, this was a more complicated procedure because they needed to apostolate, or the British government needed to provide a certificate, so to speak, that they are British citizens, which was then had to be translated into Croatian and then certified again. And then we had to take go to Matični ured and had to provide, in order to kind of get Croatian's passport, we needed to provide proof of me being their mother, proof of me, I think, being born, having the Croatian passport, their birth certificate, their certified birth certificate, and translate it into Croatian and fill in the form, I think. And that was it. The most complicated part of it was this apostolation, basically meaning that we need to certify their birth certificate and translate them into Croatian. And I think the point of that is that on that birth certificate, it states that I am their mother. So the Croatian kind of government, in order to issue the passport, needed the proof of me being their mother, and then me being a Croatian passport holder. And then yes, just it was a straightforward process. Once you have all the documentation, it's very efficient. And now my older daughter, we've done that for her. She's now 8 years old, and now she has actually her second Croatian passport. And again, renewing that Croatian passport was again no problem. And now we are in the process of doing the same for my younger daughter, who is now already 5 years old. So we are kind of late on doing that. But that would be, so having the dual citizenship, it's not a problem for either country. But now with, first, my issue was that I started dating my husband. We were in a relationship in 2005, when Croatia was still not part of EU. So in order to come to UK, I needed a visa, and every time I would come here, which would be for, at that time I was still studying, for kind of holidays, which was maybe I would come here 2 times a year, I would always need to reapply for the visa, British visa, which in its wasn't a complicated process, but you still needed to go to the embassy, wait in a queue, submit your documentation, which contain also my husband's letter, invitation kind of letter, and proof of funds, that I have sufficient funds to fund myself during my stay, and I think a couple of months more. It was always a bit of a stressful process, because with visas, you're never you never know how certain it is that you're going to receive one. So that was an issue then, and then Croatia joined the EU, and then that made things quite simpler, obviously. When my children were young, and when we were going to Croatia, the problem then was that although when my older daughter still didn't have her Croatian passport, and even I think when she did, the problem we had was that my daughter has my husband's surname, and I kept my maiden surname. So our surnames don't match. So going across the border, which I think is a standard procedure, the passport control officer would often ask us to provide a documentation, and they ask us for a letter from my husband stating that, confirming that he is her father and I'm her mother, and that it is fine for me to take her across the border. So he's in agreement for me to take her across the border. And the last time we went across, I was there with my two daughters, and I think I gave two Croatian passports and one British passport, I think, for the younger one. And then the younger one started kind of saying, "Mommy, mommy, mama, mama," and then the officer said, "Oh, what is your relation?" And then I said, "I'm their mother." And yes, so that's another complication that we have in our lives, not just the fact that we have various passports, but also that our surnames do not match. I think Brexit for me went quite smoothly in a way, because I still maintain, in that respect, that I still maintain my permanent residency here. So in that respect, I think that was a very smooth process to apply. It was an online form that needed to be filled, and just to provide the information about your passport, how long some documentation of probably of how long you were living in the UK, and I had for that my work, so my tax tax bill, and because I was working here, and that was really very straightforward. However, in terms of now crossing the border again, I think if we get Croatian passport for my younger daughter, that will be again straightforward. But for my husband, who has only British citizenship, and I don't think he can easily get Croatian one because he has never lived in Croatia. And the fact that he's just married to a Croatian person, that's not enough. I think the new visa system between UK and EU, this ETA, is, I think you apply once and maybe it's valid for 2 years or a year. So it's not kind of a monthly visa, but it's for a lengthier period of time. So in that respect, it becomes complicated. But otherwise, the effects of Brexit are... The other thing maybe that's interesting is that biometric passport, which you can't use with your children. So every time we go across the border, although the two of us have the biometric passport, because of the children, we always need to wait in a long, long queue because their passport needs to be validated by officer, right? But otherwise, the effects of Brexit haven't been yes, I don't think it's... I think in a way I managed to kind of get a good deal out of living here ahead of Brexit, allowing me this permanent residency. But yes, the downside is that my husband will have to now be applying for a visa, and every time I come into the UK, I would have to provide a proof of the residency. I don't think my identity has changed. Maybe it has slightly shifted, and I think I had ups and downs. So I still, and this is why I hold my Croatian passport, because I haven't applied yet for the British one, because I always think I don't have time for that. But also I think that it's however far my Croatian passport will take me, I think that's fine. So in that respect, I think I really do hold to my Croatian identity. My family is there, my roots are there. Majority of my friends that I gained throughout my schooling and university years are still there. Here it was very hard to integrate, especially, you know, obviously my husband has friends here, but they're all scattered around London or UK or even the world. So it's hard to maintain those friendships, especially now that we have children. But since the birth of my first daughter, it allowed me to integrate more into the UK system, firstly into the kind of health system because of the hospital, and then later into the educational system. And then through the educational system, we integrated into the local community of parents and friends now. Importantly, our local community is very international, and my work community is also very international. So I don't feel although my husband's family is all British, I feel I'm living in although living in the UK, I'm living in a very international community. So I think maintaining my Croatian identity is a value and appreciated as a diversity factor. I think our archives are crucial for tracing personal histories, and I think there should be more education about what is being contained within archives and what value that has for a person trying to trace back their historic roots. So, for example, when I think of my younger daughter, I now think that we should have kind of applied for her Croatian passport earlier to ensure that continuity between me being a Croatian passport holder or Croatian, having this Croatian identity even through documentation, right? Because now currently there is a gap. So there will be at least a 5 years gap between she was kind of born from a Croatian mother until she became a Croatian, has this Croatian documentation. Right. And I think this is actually a real shame to have that gap. Yes, potentially it would be worthwhile if there was some kind of education for individuals, maybe through embassies, just to alert individuals who may be considering whether they should or not apply for a passport, to ensure that they do, just so we don't have these gaps in documentational, because we have obviously our memory, right, and emotional memory and personal stories, right? But what is left is the documents. So having these gaps in chronological kind of gaps is a real shame.